Good morning. Whether you are here in the sanctuary or watching at home, it is good to be with you this morning. It is good for all of us to be together. As I shared with all of you a few weeks ago, one of the mottos that I live by is hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And it's always good for all of us to be as prepared as we can be. So related to this, Beth Nicholson will be speaking later in our service this morning about our OWL program. OWL stands for Our Whole Lives, and it is the name of our comprehensive sexuality education program here at UUFR. Also related to this, we are going to be having 2 fire drills on our campus this morning. Yes, it is Sex and Fire Safety Sunday here at UUFR. So that first fire drill is going to actually begin in a few minutes in Peace Hall, the building next door. When you hear that fire alarm go off, please stay in your seats here. The fire department has advised us, if there were ever a real fire emergency in Peace Hall, the safest thing for all of us in this building to do is to shelter in place in this building until we are advised otherwise. Even if you are a parent with a child in Peace Hall, please stay here. So near the end of our service this morning, we will also be having a fire drill in this building. When our fire alarm sounds, I ask you to do the following. Everyone seated on this side of the sanctuary, please slowly and carefully exit the sanctuary through the doors behind you on your right, through those doors. Everyone seated on this side of the sanctuary, please slowly and carefully exit the sanctuary through the doors behind you on your left. However, if you have a mobility issue or are accompanying someone who has a mobility issue, please exit the sanctuary through that door behind the choir area. If you need assistance, somebody will assist you, and the choir will also exit through those doors. After all of you exit the building, please use the crosswalk immediately outside those doors to cross the parking lots and cross the short path to the sidewalk along Wade Avenue. And please make sure to move down as much as necessary to make room for others. After the staff gives the all clear, we will all return here to the sanctuary. So this is important. After the fire alarm sounds, please do not get in your car to leave. If this were a real fire emergency, doing so might endanger others in the parking lot or block fire department vehicles trying to enter the parking lot. And they do that quickly. Louis and I tested the fire alarms earlier this week. We forgot to call the alarm company. And I will tell you that the nearest fire department responds very quickly. We should all be reassured by how quickly they respond. So please do not enter your vehicles and try to leave. Now we are going to try to start the fire drill right around 10:40 or so in this building, and we hope to be back. We hope to be, if the weather just stays clear, we're going to be in and out in less than 10 minutes. But if for any reason you really must leave before 11, please do so by 10:30. Okay, enough of me rambling on about this. I'll mention now that after the service, we are having a special reception in Founders Hall for all of the children and youth who have recently graduated from OWL classes. And we will not only have special treats, but we will also have real live owls. As a member of this congregation, you may never experience the rapture. But after the service, you may very well experience a raptor. Our 75th anniversary committee is also serving special foods that commonly appeared at potlucks at UUFR during the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, including hot dogs stuffed with cheese and other delicacies. That will also be happening downstairs in Founders Hall after the service. We are packing as many wild and crazy things into this Sunday as we can. But now, my friends, with our hearts open to both the challenges and the possibilities that this new day and this new week bring, with our hearts open to all that inspires, sustains, redeems, and transforms us, come, let us worship together.
The flaming chalice is the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the liberal religious tradition to which this congregation belongs. Will those of you in person please stand as you are able for our chalice lighting? If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it with me at this time. Please join me in reciting the words on the screen. As we kindle this flame, we recommit ourselves to nurturing the spirits of one another and the common good of the world we share. May the light of this flame be welcoming to all who seek a liberal religious home. For those of you already standing, I invite you to remain standing for our opening hymn, number 168, One More Step. Good morning. My name is Karen Jones. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm happy to be part of the worship team this morning. Whether you are a first-time visitor or a long-time member, I offer you a special welcome. Here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh, we are intentionally inclusive, liberally religious, and actively serving the common good of our shared world. Whoever you are, and wherever you are on your own religious journey, you are welcome here. If you're visiting us for the first time in person, I invite you to stop by the welcome stand in the foyer if you have not already done so. Fill out our visitor form, get a name tag, and pick up one of our pamphlets to find out about UUFR and Unitarian Universalism. If you're visiting us online, I invite you to fill out the visitor form at www.uufr.org/visitor form. If you do this, you'll start receiving our weekly e-newsletter. This morning, Will Smith, one of our lay ministers, will be available in the front right corner of the sanctuary after service to talk with anyone who might be experiencing any difficult circumstances and would like to talk to someone. I hope all of you will read through the chalice you received by email on Friday about everything happening at UUFR. Our in-person social hour will be this morning downstairs in Founders Hall. If you are new, I also invite you to stop by the table for newcomers in Founders Hall during social hour. I now invite you to meet and greet your neighbor.
Folks, I invite you to come back together. This is a time in our service when we acknowledge some of the joys and sorrows of our community. And we do this because we believe a joy shared is a joy made greater, and a sorrow shared is sometimes made easier to bear. We now have a small change in how we do things. Instead of sending an email, anyone is invited to fill out our Joys and Sorrows form before midnight on Saturday. And a link to this form is in the chalice and on the very front page of our website. Anyone is also invited to light a candle before the service, and if they wish, fill out a card, one of our cards, just by hand, so that your joy or sorrow can be shared with the congregation. Jessica Gaudreau shares. Her honorary sister-in-law, Adrienne Clark Miles, succumbed to cancer last week at the age of 52. Please hold husband Scott and sons Zach and Jake and all of her family in our hearts. Mary Alice Knight's Celebration of Life service will be held this afternoon at 2 p.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro. Mary Alice and her husband Ken were active members of UUFR before moving to Greensboro about 10 years ago. Jerry Meisner shares her sorrow that her mother, Polly Jones, aged 92, passed away peacefully with her family around her on Thursday. Jerry says that she has felt uplifted by the positive energy and UU prayers of this community. Jerry, we hold you and all of your family in our hearts during this time of grief. Ellie Penley asks that we hold in our hearts her friend Audrey, whose baby Karina was born on Wednesday and is now in the NICU. This month, Bruce and Margie Lynch are celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary. Yeah. With a return trip to where they had their honeymoon. Also, their daughter Alexa Papadopoulos is graduating from Georgetown School of Foreign Service with a master's degree in national security. So happy anniversary, Bruce and Margie. As we hold these joys and sorrows in our own hearts and reflect on the joys, the sorrows, the fears, and the hopes of our own lives, let's be together now in stillness and silence, opening ourselves to that spirit within us and amidst us, called by many names, but known to every human heart, that leads us to a fuller, deeper, richer experience of life. After the silence, we'll sing hymn number 95, There is More Love Somewhere. But now, let's be together in stillness and in silence.
Everything we do at UUFR is only possible because of the generous financial support so many of us provide. However, we designate one Sunday each month as Justice Sunday, and all the money collected during our offering is given to a local or national nonprofit organization. Today is our Justice Sunday. The Bryant Community Engagement Center is the recipient of today's offering. Pastor Vance Haywood is here to tell us more. Pastor Vance.
Good morning. I bring you greetings on behalf of St. John's Metropolitan Community Church and our Bryant Center programs. I'm here today to thank you for your generous support that this community has shown us over the years and the programs that we offer. The Bryant Center was established to oversee our programs such as our Community Engagement Center and our shelter for white flag and drop-in emergencies, as well as other services that we provide such as coordinated entry and case management and our food nutrition programs. The White Flag Shelter has expanded this year and started what we now call a drop-in shelter, meeting a need within the community. Most of you may know or may not know that our shelter system in this county and in this area is completely overwhelmed, and on any given night we're seeing roughly 500 to 600 people who are seeking shelter that don't have a place to go. And so we're able to look and to meet that need through this drop-in shelter. Now, I could go on and on about numbers and talk to you about the 1,678 unique individuals that we have served over the past year, the more than 20,000 meals that have been served just in this past winter white flag season alone, or the hundreds of people and families that are served every single night. But I thought in this brief moment, I would just like to share with you some of the stories of the folks that your help, that your support is going to make possible, the support and the resources that are made possible because of this community. People like a young trans woman who I'll call Ann, whom I've known now for about 4 or 5 years and worked with her for about 4 or 5 years. She came to me several weeks ago and she said, "Pastor Vance, this shelter means so much to me and so many others in our community. Before this shelter opened in a drop-in capacity, she told me that she had had to engage in work that she did not want to engage in to be able to find a safe place to sleep or to find a room for each night. And she said, since this shelter is opened, I'm not having to do that. And so many others that I work with and that I know aren't having to do that, and we're able to find a safe place here because of the place that you're providing." Stories like young men who are finding and sustaining employment because they can now have a place to sleep at night, to get a shower and get ready for the next day. Folks who were previously going through and having to go through job after job because they couldn't simply get enough rest or be prepared for their next day. One young man who I've worked with since he came into the shelter the first night we opened up in November, got a job at Amazon delivering packages and was really excited about that. And he came to me a few weeks ago and he said, I'm headed to go buy a car now so I can get back and forth to work and don't have to worry about the bus system, which oftentimes could be unreliable to get to where he needed to be. He was so excited about the progress that he's making and having some hope and ability to move forward. These are just a few of the stories of hundreds of people that we get to hear each and every day through the work that we're doing. This community has stepped up in many ways, opening your own doors to become one of the White Flag shelters and hosting that here. The weekly food donations that come in on time at 12:15 on the dot every single week. We don't have to guess what time they're coming. Showing up and providing financial support. Reverend James reaching out and asking what we need and working through your various community organizations to provide and advocate for this community. Your generosity has enabled us to continue providing these resources and creating opportunities that would not be possible without your help. We, everyone at the community center, at the church, everyone that receives services are eternally grateful for your commitment to justice, and we look forward to continuing to work with you in the future. Thank you again, Reverend James, and the entirety of UUFR for everything that you do.
Thank you, Pastor Vance. If you would like to make a contribution this morning, we invite you to bring it forward and put it in one of the offering plates. If you would prefer to have an usher come to you, please raise your hand. You may also give using one of the methods on the screen. Our offering will now be given and gratefully received.
I want to start by sharing a story our family ministry director shared with me recently. I have this moment from 8th grade that is etched in my memory. My health teacher had just taught us about sexually transmitted diseases, using a curriculum that emphasized abstinence as the one and only true way to protect oneself. And she decided to end the lesson with a special side note for just half of the class. Ladies, imagine that you are at a nice restaurant with your boyfriend and he pulls out a ring to propose, she said. Then she continued, and imagine you have to tell him you have an STD. He's going to want that ring back. It was a shocking moment where so much was being taught to me about my value as a woman, about the value of being marriage material, about the value of my body being healthy and desirable for someone else's sake above my own. Our community's values shape our views about sexuality as positive or negative. These values are learned from our families, our culture, life experiences, and our faith traditions. And for far too many of us, our sexual identities have been damaged by values rooted in violence, exploitation, alienation, dishonesty, abuse of power, and the treatment of persons as objects. In the summer, I spend much of my time organizing a neighborhood swim team for children and teens. So I was struck by the way that Elizabeth Canfield captured our society's relationship with sex ed. She writes, I've often wondered what it would be like if we taught young people swimming the same way we teach them sexuality. If we told them that swimming was an important adult activity, one that they will all have to be skilled at when they grow up. But we never talked with them about it. We never showed them the pool. We just allowed them to stand outside, close doors, and listen to all the splashing. Occasionally, they might catch a glimpse of a partially clothed person going in or out of the door of the pool, and maybe they'd find a hidden book about the art of swimming. But when they asked a question about how swimming felt or what it was about, they would be greeted with blank or embarrassed looks. Suddenly, when they turn 18, we'd fling open the doors to the pool and they would jump in. Miraculously, some might learn to tread water, but many would drown. I'd like to ask you to reflect on your own sexuality education. Besides, of course, that stellar public school education I'm sure most of us got, messages came in from everywhere, from home, media, faith community, and even peers. Take a moment to think about the message you received about sexuality growing up. Sum it up in a short phrase or word. As you are willing and able, shout it out to us. Don't get pregnant. Don't talk about it. Everything that can go bad. Sorry, something about dirty jokes. Abstinence. Treat it like an elbow. Okay. Healthy. Enjoy it. Thinking about these messages you've heard and your own, raise your hand if the messages were empowering and positive. Reflect silently on the impact that you think this messaging had on your own experiences. Shifting now, what message would you like for our youth to receive about their sexuality? Shout it out as you're willing and able. How fun. Natural. Positive. Good time. Consent. Respectful. Pleasure. Our faith calls us to prevent our youth from drowning in sexual ignorance. Instead, we believe that providing education that is sensitive, compassionate, bonding, challenging, life-affirming, and empowering through a program called Our Whole Lives, or OWL. I grew up here at the fellowship, and I currently serve as the OWL coordinator here. OWL is a comprehensive, lifelong sexuality education course created by the Unitarian Universalist Association and the United Church of Christ. And when I say lifelong, I mean lifelong. Our curriculum starts in first grade and goes all the way through an older adult curriculum. So why do this learning here instead of a school or community center? You can offer OWL outside of a religious community, but as Unitarian Universalists, we believe that sexual expression is an affirming part of the human experience and spiritual growth. It is our faith that calls us to support everyone's right to learn about their bodies and their full identity. It is our faith that calls us to support one another in building relationships in consensual, caring, pleasurable, and developmentally appropriate ways. Here at UUFR, we want to share a message with each OWL participant, one of open-mindedness and positivity. OWL helps people of all ages explore sexuality within a framework of the values of self-worth, responsibility, sexual health, justice, and inclusivity. These values honor sexuality as part of the human experience, even as we recognize that aspects of it can be misused and violated. But we also want to share a message about sexuality that is grounded in science. Our goal is to give our participants age-appropriate information. Scientific evidence is central to UU perspectives on sexuality. We trust statistics showing that comprehensive sexual education decreases rates of unintended pregnancies and improves health outcomes. We know that honoring and understanding each person's sexual identity can decrease self-harm. We know that consent education decreases sexual assault. we know that sexual expression is a developmental process that begins in infancy and lasts throughout life. So what does this look like? It looks like a 6-year-old complaining to her 2 moms that they had a boring old family after learning about all the different ways a family can be created. Having struggled not feeling normal growing up, her moms were surprised. It looks like a 7-year-old spending their free time at home drawing pictures of a prince and a princess with speech bubbles showing the prince asking consent to give a kiss. It looks like 5th and 8th graders being overheard by caregivers confidently giving their friends factual and thoughtful advice about relationships and their bodies. And it looks like my own kids in foster care feeling validated while learning about types of non-traditional family makeups. My son found a space where he was able to share his story and be without judgment. This past year, we have had 43 participants and 12 OWL class facilitators who together completed 67 hours of sexuality education programming. And today, our 5th graders are finishing their OWL classes and our 8th graders. This is something to celebrate. Today, after our service, please join us and the fire drill. Please join us downstairs to honor our 5th and 8th grade OWL participants from this year. There will be desserts to share, a special moment to acknowledge our OWL graduates, and even live owls. Yes, they're coming. Thank you for being a part of this community in supporting our children in their search for their own truth and meaning in their own lives. Our community's support of them will echo throughout their lives. I encourage you to actively support comprehensive sexuality education in your communities and to advocate for policies that promote sexual health and empowerment. Thank you.
Beth, I want to thank you for all the work that you do on behalf of all of our children, our youth, our adults, our entire congregation. As the minister of this congregation, I am thankful for that work. As the parent of a teenager who participated in our OWL program, I am very thankful for that work. And I'm also thankful to all of you, whether or not you have children or youth now participating in our program. Just by being a part of this congregation and supporting this congregation, you're helping to support the transformative, the life transformative work that Beth and our other OWL facilitators are doing. So thank you. And now, for something completely different. Lewis, are we ready?
Power on. 16.
Lewis, are we ready for our fire drill? Louis,
Our fire alarm has been activated. Ushers and staff, please open all doors to the sanctuary. If you're seated on this side of the sanctuary, please slowly and carefully exit the sanctuary through the doors behind you on your right. If you are seated on this side of the sanctuary, please slowly and carefully exit the sanctuary through the doors behind you on your left. If you have a mobility issue or are accompanying someone with a mobility issue, please exit the sanctuary through the doors behind the choir area. Please ask someone nearby to assist you. Choir members, please exit through the doors behind you. After exiting the building, please cross the parking lot onto the Wade Avenue sidewalk. Please do not try to leave in your car. Ushers and staff, please open all doors to the sanctuary. If you're seated on this side of the sanctuary, please slowly and carefully exit the sanctuary to the doors behind you. If you're seated on this side of the sanctuary, please slowly and carefully exit the sanctuary through the doors behind you. If you have a mobility issue or are accompanying someone with a mobility issue, please exit the doors behind the choir. If you need assistance, please ask someone nearby to assist you. Choir members, please also exit through that door. After exiting the building, please cross the crosswalk into the Wade Avenue sidewalk. Please do not try to leave in your car.
My friends, thank you very much for your cooperation. 6 months of planning and it's over and done with in 12 minutes. Will you please stand now as you are able for our closing hymn, number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. Please be seated. As we now prepare to end this time of worship, may we do so with ever more love for ourselves and others, with ever more gratitude for this precious gift of life we share among ourselves this very day, with ever more peace in our hearts, and with ever more hope for our own lives in this world we share.